government is doing everything they possibly can to limit the rebellion of Labour MPs against them. You can imagine it. People being bribed, bullied, offered jobs in government at some future stage. But it looks as though very clearly we'll be holding an opposition, I predict, about 100 Labour MPs voting against the government. But it means basically that Blair will not be able to claim he has the moral authority or the backing of this country for this war. MP after MP have made it very clear, not in our name, not in the name of thousands of Labour Party members, and certainly not in the name of the British people. If he takes us to war with backing Bush, our job is to campaign to shorten the war, and then, yes, to be prepared for the next one. Because Bush is clear. It isn't just Iraq, it isn't just Iran, it isn't North Korea. We know what Bush is about. It's international dominance. Our vote today is against the war, and in solidarity with the American people who are campaigning for peace and the people who are campaigning for peace across the world. And we say to the Iraqi people, if the bombs come, dig deep, go into the shelters. We wish you safety, but we will not desert you. We will campaign for peace, and we will campaign for justice, but not the justice under the hegemony of George Bush. Thank you. Thank you, John. I'm Jeremy Corbyn, Labour MP for Islington North. Just wanted to say that John just made a fantastic speech in the House itself just now, in which he, at greater length, the points he made just now. This is a worldwide movement for peace. It's unprecedented in the history of this planet that on one day, 600 cities around the world should stage demonstrations for peace and against the bombing of Iraq. Not because they have great sympathy with the regime in Iraq, but because they are terrified and frightened, and I'm one of those, of what will happen when depleted uranium, air bombs, all the other panoply of modern warfare are unleashed against the people of Iraq who've suffered 10 years of sanctions, 500,000 children dead, and desperate poverty. This is not a war about peace, justice and liberation. This is a war about American military power and control, and above all, a grab for the natural resources that lie under the soil of Iraq. And this peace movement, this fantastic peace movement that's come together, has come together because we want to live in a world at peace. Peace is achieved by addressing the causes of war. The causes of war are injustice. The causes of war are greed. The causes of war are the money made by the arms manufacturers and the arms dealers in selling arms throughout the region. And so, whilst we quite rightly condemn any use of weapons of mass destruction, disarmament also requires this country, the United States, Israel, Pakistan and India and any other country that has nuclear weapons to divest themselves of them and instead put that money and that resources into dealing with the AIDS pandemic, the starvation, the lack of sanitation and health care that so many poor people around the world suffer. We are being dragged into a war by Cheney, Rumsfeld, Pearl and Bush, which is part of the new American century, which envisages a world based on global corporations dominating this planet, while the poor get poorer, living standards amongst the poorest fall, while a few very rich people get very, very rich indeed. That is the agenda. And my fear is that the attack on Iraq, in a few hours' time, will kill an awful lot of very innocent people, will make an awful lot of money for a few arms manufacturers and oil companies, but will unleash A Turkish armed attack on the Kurdish people in the north will allow Israel to invade Palestine, will unleash conflict after conflict, and we'll be still facing the problems of this in 20 and 30 years' time. Now, please, in the name of peace, stop the attack on Iraq, look for peaceful, just solutions instead. That is why we're here today, and I thank you all for being here. But when war breaks out, be on the streets, be demonstrating, be out, be here. And this Saturday, assembling at midday on the embankment, and we march through the streets of London. And it's not just another demonstration. If we decide to call a march, the Stop the War Coalition and everybody else together, because we're all in this together, we have a duty to be there, because we want to show the world, show everyone in the world, that British troops are not sent in our name. This war is not fought in our name. We are here to campaign for peace and justice, now, this weekend, and all the time in the future. Peace and justice around the world. Thank you very much.